On the line from our Cape Town studios by Ms Lulu King, the Public Sector Account Manager at Megasec. Lulu, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And can you briefly tell us what is cybercrime?
Cybercrime, like any other crime, is an instance where people are trying to gain access to something that simply just doesn't belong to them. And in this case, it goes from our day-to-day information of users and everyday citizens, to large-scale organizations and the misuse and the misappropriation of that information illegally.
How rife is cybercrime in the country?
It's absolutely everywhere. It is everywhere from e-commerce to financial institutions. You find it in identity theft. It is becoming more and more rife and very real for the everyday citizen, for private corporations as well as public sector organizations. And what we look at doing is limiting through information security best practice policies the ability for criminals to commit cybercrime.
Are we winning, though, in terms of eradicating cybercrime in the country?
I'd say we have quite a solid head start. What we're looking at is creating a culture of information security from an end-to-end point of view. Obviously, the human factor and increasing levels of mobility with our information cause huge amounts of risks within our environments and on a day-to-day level. And what we look at doing is containing that information. Previously, people looked at information security and combating cybercrime through antiviruses and firewalls, and that's great. But what we're finding now is just the ease of access is posing great amounts of risks. What we look at doing is creating a culture of information security through teaching people everyday things like protecting their information the way they would their homes. So it is a great start. We're leading in terms of education and then using physical systems to implement the policies that will prevent this from continuing.
How do we as South Africa compare to other countries internationally when it comes to cybercrime?
We are just as much at risk as anybody else, but we do have some sort of head start in that companies like ourselves, Megasec, are able to bring through world-class solutions. One of the products that we vend has just been named the leading encryption solution internationally. And the fact that we've got access to these tools, the fact that we are starting to break ground in terms of development, the fact that we are implementing means that we've decided to take a stand and say enough. We've started the war on cybercrime and we're beginning to win.
There was a brief break earlier this year with the SABC computer systems. Has that been sorted out, and what is your contribution as Megasec to the country's security?
Okay, we look at it holistically. So it's not just public sector, it's every organization now has the opportunity to encrypt. So basically what we do is, as you would at home, you lock your door. We allow you to place your information in a container. We can never guarantee, as any sector in information security, that you can't have somebody break into the physical layers of your security. But what we can do is offer high-level encryption over the actual information. I mean, we've got guys who are not just in public sector, but in all aspects of your life. And end users will know, walking around with your notebooks or your tablets and your phones, and you've got access to your information, your emails, your systems that you use on a day-to-day basis on these devices. They get lost, they get stolen. Hackers will hack in. It's a fact. The only thing we can do is encrypt that information so that when it is obtained, it is completely unusable outside of the correct levels of authorization.
You've mentioned encryption a few times because that's what you do, but what else does Megasec do?
We do everything from identity management, device and file control, and application control. So we look at optimizing workflow so that you are still able to have maximum functionality within your work environment, but controlling the way things work. So making sure that people have the correct access at all times in a safe environment.
And your contribution at the conference?
Pardon? Sorry, I lost you there.
Your contribution at the conference, what are you contributing at the conference?
We are information security exhibitors currently, and we are putting the word out there. You know, one of the biggest things for us is that people don't know how to protect themselves. So as much as we are worried about malicious users, one of the biggest concerns is that people don't understand that they open their environments out to risk. So through our end user awareness programs and the conversations that we're having around creating a safer environment, from an end user perspective, we're contributing towards a safer environment.
Lulu, thank you so much for your time. That was Lulu King, the Public Sector Accounts Manager from Megasec, live from our Cape Town studios.